This QR code leads to an AI agent, and that AI agent actually just replaced the entire self-check-in process at a hotel. Let me show you how. It works 24/7, it speaks many different languages, and it actually improves the guest experience without a single staff member. Today, I'm going to break it all down. First of all, showing you a live demo, so you know what this sounds and feels like. Second, I'm going to show you everything under the hood, from the prompts I use to the workflows and the actual software needed to build the AI. And lastly, I'm going to give you a cost breakdown, so you know if this is a smart move to make in 2025. Stick till the end, because somewhere in this video, I've actually hidden a download link. So you can download all of these templates I use completely for free. If you're new to the channel, then welcome. My name's Liam. I've helped businesses all over the world save tens and tens of thousands a year using AI. If you'd like to do the same for your business, just use the first link down below to book a free AI consultation call. I am limiting the spots to only 3 people per video, so I hope to see you in there, and now let's dive into the live demo. Alright, so when your guests come into your hotel, they will see this QR code. Now, especially after hours when there's no staff around to help them, they can just use their phone and scan this QR code, which will then actually call an AI agent.
Welcome to the Grand Hotel Geneva. My name is Kate. How can I help you, Liam Parker?
Wow, you knew my name. Awesome. Yeah, I was wondering what my room code is.
You're in room 104, and the room code is 6768. Is there anything else I can help you with today?
Just out of curiosity, do you know anything about my booking? Like what room type I'm staying in and how long?
Yes, you're booked in a grand suite for 4 nights. Is there anything else you'd like to know or need assistance with today?
Did you guys take note of the fact that I wanted coconut water in my room?
Yes, we have noted your special delivery request for coconut water in your room. Is there anything else I can help you with today?
No, that was fantastic. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. There you go. So as you can see, what happened here was that the AI, first of all, before the call even connected, it searched through a mock database here in Google Sheets. For our clients, of course, we do connect this with their real PMS softwares. So this is just an example. But as you can see, it can look through your system. It can find you by the number that you're calling from. It greeted you by your name. It knows what room number you're in, can tell you the room to your, the code to your room, and even knows details about your booking. And the best part about this is it's so secure. I can't just ask what's, Marcus Chen's room code, because it only checks based on the number that you're calling from. So unless you steal Marcus Chen's phone, you're not going to be able to access his room. So yeah, this is pretty cool. Let me show you how this works on the back end. All right, so to build this AI, you're going to need 2 things, a make.com account and a Vappy account. Now, the good news is you can do free trials on both of them. So just to play around, you can actually do this completely for free. We're going to get into the cost and the pricing of this later, especially if you're planning to do this at scale for your hotel. But if you just want to play around with it, it's completely free. Now, I'm going to show you the prompts of how this is set up. I'm going to also show you a backend automation. And if you want to download this automation and the prompt, there's actually a link down below under the resources section where you can download this completely for free. If you need help customizing this for your business or would like some consulting and help on identifying the best use cases, you can also use the first link to book a free AI consultation call while you're down there. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. How does the AI know who you are? So as you can see here, we have a mock database in Google Sheets. Now, this could just as well be any other software, as I already said. Now, I don't need to explain how this is set up, right? It's pretty basic, but what's important is that you have a phone number attached to a guest. So what happens here is that we have this webhook, and this webhook URL triggers whenever somebody calls your phone number, your Vappy account. Where do you put this? You will go onto Vappy, into your settings down here, and then onto server URL. This is where you paste it. And you just got to hover over it for a while. It takes a little bit to load, but then you can change it. And then as soon as anybody called your Vappy account or any phone number attached to it, it will trigger this system. Now, of course, we can add filters here as well, right? That only specific assistants answer at a specific time of day, for example, or that different phone numbers lead to different assistants, but all of that for another time. So when somebody calls your agent, what will happen is that we will search the Google Sheet here. As you can see, we have a module connected to the mock CRM that we have, and it will search the phone column for the customer's phone number. because this is sent dynamically into your into here. So now what happens is that we just basically format everything into the right format, and we now have extracted from that Google Sheet the guest name, the room number, the booking details, and the room code. So it's just like, looking through this column. Okay, we found the phone number that somebody's calling from, and then it just takes this whole column and sends it into here. Now these things, these variables, will now be injected into our prompt. We first of all use the this little HTTP module to get the right assistant, and next what we do is there we go, we pass these things called assistant overrides. And what this means is that in our prompt we have variables which are labeled guest name, room number, booking details, room code. And what this thing here does is it overrides the prompt and replaces those phrases in our prompt with the new information. So to show you this a little bit better, here in the prompt, we have, I'll go through this in more detail in a moment, but we have this line here saying you have access to dynamic variables, guest name, which is, and then here in the curly brackets, this gets replaced with, for example, Liam. So as soon as the call connects, this doesn't say guest name anymore, but it says Liam Parker, for example. And this is great because this is different for every person who calls. So now the assistant has all the information, right? It knows what your room number is, it knows your room code, it can answer the questions. And of course, this is an extremely basic assistant. I've made many more videos on how you can get this to make bookings and reservations for your events and restaurants and hotels. So this is just a very basic example, but nonetheless a great use case. In terms of the prompting, we'll give you a basic overview of the structure of this, because that could be quite interesting. First of all, we give it a role to tell it who it is and what's its name, where does it work. Second, a bit of context. So for example, what's the current time? And we added this variable, which is inbuilt in Vappy. You can also make it time zone specific so that when the guest, this is usually great for booking, right? So that when a guest says, can I book a room for tomorrow? The AI actually knows what date today is. Now, then you can add a section for specifics, like how do you want it to respond? How, the tone and style, do you want it to be friendly or welcoming? And then you can also add example conversations, which is great. And in this example conversation, you can once again include these dynamic variables. So you've basically already given it a script of what it can say, because these get replaced, right? Then you give it some end of call guidelines on when it can actually end the call. And this note section down here is mainly reserved for if something's not working, you can put it in here. Now, in terms of Vappy, if you've never seen Vappy before, there's a bunch of other settings. You can choose the voice, what it sounds like. You can choose, for example, in the stop speaking plan and start speaking plan, when it is allowed to interrupt, when does it stop speaking, how many words do you have to say before it stops. Or you can configure things like if the caller says nothing for 10 seconds, what does it say then, right? Does it just hang up or does it ask if they're still there? So there's a ton of different things you can do in this case. All right, so now let me show you some numbers. So what would this cost in the real world? Now there's a lot of numbers here. Let me break it down step by step. First thing to look at is the AI price per minute. Now the good thing is you're just paying per usage. So if one person uses this, you pay, I don't know, maybe for a 1 or 2 minute call, you pay 30 cents. I've worked with many different variations of this because this depends on how good the prompt is. These used to be way higher. They used to be at like 17 cents. Now they're down at 11 cents. Some are even at 10 or even 9 cents. The example that I showed you here, as you can see, is only 10 cents, so very, very cheap. And now it becomes interesting when you compare it to a human, right? Human price per minute, assuming you're not paying them less than minimum wage, is around 30 cents. Now, let's work with 100 calls per day. So especially for larger companies, this is interesting. So if your hotel gets 100 check-ins a day, instead of paying a human to do this, you would pay AI. So what does this actually look like? There's a couple of different metrics here. So I've worked out what would you pay if you use this for 1 year. But most importantly, what would you save? So say you're paying someone full-time to check in these people, and especially after hours, this can get really expensive. Now, if you're paying them around $3,500, compare this now to the AI. because the AI has two parts to it, right? We have the setup costs and then the usage costs. The setup costs depend on the agency, right? This could be a really small build for only 2K. It could be a larger build for 20K, right? And of course, in a 20K, you'd hope that they don't just build this, they'd build a bunch more for you. But that depends on the agency that you're working with. Now, the usage price is basically this over here. So we've got 11 cents per minute times an average call of 3 minutes times 1,000 calls a day is around $1,023 a month if this thing works 24/7. Now, that might seem like a lot of money, and it is, but if you look at the savings, month one, the setup fee is larger than just paying a receptionist. But on month two, it starts to add up quite a lot, and you're starting to save thousands and then tens of thousands a year. And this is where it gets so powerful because it's extremely cost effective, as you can see. It's 24/7 service, and it saves time. AI can take a huge amount of calls at once, so there's no like lines or wait time either. So you effectively get paid almost $30,000 to have better customer service. And in this case, no lost bookings wouldn't apply to this example. But you can imagine if you integrate this to also make bookings, you wouldn't lose bookings to people being in the whole time. And that's my favorite part, right? AI is so black and white. It's so easy to see the value in this. And especially after hearing a demo, I hope that I was able to teach you something new in this video. All right, so I hope you learned something new. If you have any more questions, just leave them in the comment section down below. And if you're a business looking to implement AI like this, you can just use the first link down below to book a free AI consultation call. I look forward to hearing from you, and I'll see you in the next video.